Hi everyone, I'm Snails, and this year I'm hoping to do Inktober, and this is going to be my first ever video, and it's a test video to kind of get all the settings right and everything like that. So I'm gonna be extremely nervous. I promise I'll do my best. The mic audio might be pretty bad. I unfortunately don't have like a really nice mic, and also I'm using a webcam which doesn't have the greatest focus and zoom and everything in the world. Um, but anyway, I'm hoping to do Inktober this year, and I would like to make a video for each drawing that I do. And hopefully I'll actually finish Inktober this year, because I've started on it multiple times and just never actually carried on with it. So I'm gonna try and stop saying so much, first of all. Really nervous, as I said. So my theme for Inktober this year is going to be Rick and Morty. A couple of years ago, I realized that Rick and Morty has exactly 31 episodes, which is exactly how many days there are in October. So it seemed to be perfect. Sorry if there's like background noises and stuff. This mic kind of just picks up everything else. So yeah, my theme this year is going to be Rick and Morty, and I am planning on doing a drawing that is going to be a screen cap redraw, one for each episode. And then I figure having a theme that relates to something that I watch and enjoy will give me something to talk about during each video. So that's my plan for that. Alright, so let's talk about what I'm using this year. I decided to keep it as simple as possible because in the past I've tried to use like all of my ink supplies because I really love inking things, and I have like millions and millions of pens and like jars of ink. So keeping it as simple as possible this year, I am going to try and do alcohol-based inks, which are, in my opinion, easier to work with than most inks. So for my sketchbook, I am going to be using the Grumbacher Mixed Media sketchbook. This one is the Dome Lock sketchbook. I'm not sure if they have any other ones. This is the only one I know of. And then I also know they make a larger size. This is the 5.5 by 8.5 one. What I like about this sketchbook is that it has these pages that you can pull right out, like so. So you can just go ahead and like tape it down or put it somewhere else while you're working, and then when you're done, you can just pop the pages right back in the sketchbook, like that. And it's not like the neatest thing in the world. The little tabs can get a little bent, but you know, it goes in cleanly, so you know, you can kind of reorganize your pages, or you can tear some out entirely and it won't be like, oh, I ruined it. And then there's also perforated edges, because I figure if I like these enough, I might either sell a few of them or just want to keep them, just like afterwards put them in like a portfolio. I don't know. So that's the sketchbook I'm going to be using. And then for regular drawing, I just have like a regular lead pencil, or mechanical pencil, I guess is what most people call them. And it's it's the Uniball Kurutoga, and it's in an 05. And my eraser is just the regular Pentel Hi-Polymer eraser. It's pretty standard white eraser. So for the pens I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using this for most of the finer line work, which is the Pilot Ultra Fine Point. Yeah, it doesn't really... I'm not really sure what this is called. I don't know if it has like an actual name, but if I do find it, I'll put a link to it. I mean, I'll have a link to like everything I'm using. And then I'm also going to be using the Identipen, which is by, I think it's by Sakura? Oh, here it is, yeah. It's by Sakura. And it's a permanent... I like this pen because it's like archival, it's alcohol based. So if you use it to do line work and then you also use like Copics or something on top of it, it'll mess up the line work. But I like it enough. I usually use it, I do my colors first and then I use it, or I just use it on its own. It's really good for sketching. One of the ends is like this really fine point, and then the other end is more of a bullet tip. And the reason I like this pen so much is I used to do a lot of sketching in Sharpies, mostly just the ultra fine Sharpie, and then I would do colors with the regular bullet tip wider Sharpie. So this is a pretty good replacement if you're used to drawing in Sharpies, but you want something that's more permanent and also a lot more black. I notice Sharpies tend to fade really easily, or the color isn't like a pure black. It tends to kind of go bluish or reddish after a while. This will stay black, and it's also the most pure black, I guess, that I've found in a pen before. Doesn't fade or look gross afterwards or anything. And then for more filling and things like that, I'm going to be just using a black Copic sketch, just like the regular black one. And if I have a need for it, which I don't suspect I will, but I don't really know if I'm going to be doing stuff that's that large, and I need to block off space, I will use the Decocolor acrylic paint pen, which is really nice. And this one has like a pretty large chisel tip. I find it's a lot easier for filling in really large spaces than to try and use like either the small brush end or even the chisel tip on this is kind of like streaky and stuff. So it's easier to just go for a paint pen, I think, if I'm filling in really big areas. And the last thing I'm going to be using, if I find a need for it, if I want to do like small white details afterwards, which I tend to do sometimes, not all the time though, I'm going to be using the Posca paint pen, white, and this one is the PC1M, and it has like a very pointy plastic nib on it. And I find it gets a lot smaller than the other one I have here, which is the PC1MR. And it has like a metal tip, and then it goes into a felt nib. And I find that the 1M is like a sharp plastic needle, and it gets really small easier. And this one, the felt nib tends to wear down pretty quickly, so you get like really wide, I guess, details. So yeah, those are all the things that I'm going to be using this year. Trying to keep it as simple as possible with a few exceptions. I considered not even using paint pens. I I figure these won't be something I'll be relying too heavily on. I tend to do a lot of white details normally, so these are things that I'm going to try and not do quite as much. And then these are things that I'm hoping to be consistent. I mean, obviously I'll use a pencil and an eraser. But yeah, these are more standard stuff that I'm going to keep for sure. Alright, so I thought I would also do a first drawing to kind of see how things go. So for this first drawing, I picked a character that I've only drawn a couple of times, but I tend to draw them when I, like, don't really know what I want to draw, I guess. So... Oh, and I'm also going to be using blue painter's tape to, like, mark off areas and make sure I keep things even, because I do want a border on all of these. Sorry if, like, my chair is squeaking too much. It's very old and very squeaky. Then, of course, this mic just loves picking up all of the background noise. So this character I'm drawing is a pumpkin. I call them a guy, but really they, like, have no gender, because they're a pumpkin. And the pose I'm drawing them in is one I just found online. Literally just googled, like, sitting down pose or something like that. And I found this, like, really funny pose of a person sitting in a chair. Just, like, all relaxed. So I'm just gonna draw them like that. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible because I really don't want to, like... I really don't want this to go on for, like, 2 or 3 or 4 hours, which is usually how long I take when I draw. Yeah, because I don't have, like, a separate audio recording, and I don't plan on doing any many or any cuts in this video. We'll see how it goes. So I kinda vary between names for this character. Oops, I drew their hat backwards. Sometimes I just call them, like, pumpkin guy or pumpkin person, and then sometimes I call them pumpkin fire, which is just a name that I kind of like, but don't really know for sure if that's what I'm going to end up calling them long term. They don't really have, like, a story or anything. Maybe eventually, but not currently. my cat is playing outside. And you might also hear, like, my roommate moving around and doing stuff. Yeah, eventually I hope I can get a better mic set up and a camera, but that's like pretty far off stuff. Right now I'm mostly trying to focus on like actually getting started and getting myself to want to make videos and things like that. Because it's something I've always really wanted to do, and I just never find myself getting around to it. Either like lack of motivation or lack of time, just like a lot of things keeping me from it. Okay. Another reason I like using alcohol-based markers when I do sketches or when I do art is because I find that stuff like microns, and I've tried gel pens and all kinds of other different fine liners and things like that. I find that they tend to just rub off too easily, even when I'm like barely pressing when I go to erase. Uh, Alcohol-based things like Sharpies and stuff like that dry pretty much instantly, and there's no risk of like pulling up the ink when you try to erase it afterwards. And I'm a very impatient person, so I can't just wait around for like microns to dry. I think I might like... So I'm really not sure what I want this channel or these videos, I mean the whole channel as a whole. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it exactly. I know I want to hopefully I want it to help me get more into doing art regularly, because currently I just kind of don't. I do art for like my job and that's pretty much it. Um, I don't really do. I used to do like fan art a lot and stuff like that, and I just don't really do any of that anymore at all. So I'm hoping to get myself to do more art in general, from doing these videos or starting this channel. And then maybe even like do tutorial videos, or I'm still not sure yet where this will go. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what to talk about right now, I guess. Like I said, when I have like when I start doing actual Inktober videos, I'm going to have stuff to talk about, because I'll be doing like Rick and Morty theme. And I'll have things to actually say about like the episode and the characters and how it makes me feel. But this is just kind of like, yeah, don't really know what to talk about. I'll just talk about whatever comes to mind. I don't want to like focus too much on forcing myself to be entertaining. I just, you know, want to let things come naturally, I guess, and see what happens. Either, you know, you like me or you don't. My rambling is like, I don't know. If it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. So last year I tried to do Inktober, and I tried to do, like, I have these really cool inks that I like to use. They're like pots of, Winsor & Newton artist ink. And I really wanted to do that. Just different, colors and stuff. But the sketchbook I got ended up being not good for the ink. It was one of the Moleskine sketchbooks, and the ink ended up just like not taking at all to the sketchbook. So it just like lost all of its vibrancy and stuff. Which was unfortunate. I lost my interest in Inktober pretty quickly that year because of that. Alright. I'll have to decide. I think I will color in the background black. Or maybe I'll just do like a moon or something back there. That way it doesn't feel too, I guess, cluttered. Alright, so it's all done. Let me... Oh, I think it turned out pretty well for my first try. I'll also, like... Yeah, there we go. That's a better angle. Yeah, so this was really fun. Definitely gonna try and keep this up because I really enjoyed it. Hopefully it is something I'll be able to do more consistently. Even after Inktober, hopefully I manage to keep making these. Right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. And I'll see you next time, hopefully. Bye!